Who brought the frog?
I don't know where the crickets are coming from. That's not coming. Is it? Anyway, Trias it was controlled by Virginia Prince and Carol Beecroft, the one in the white, and then later on when Virginia Prince fell out of favor, Jane Ellen Fairfax became the leader of Trias. And for those who don't know, Jane Ellen Fairfax is the reason why Chi Chapter got kicked out of Trias in later years. They really, their history was, again, they wanted to have people believe we were normal and had normal jobs and those kinds of things, and that we weren't someone you should look down on. So therefore, they picked homosexuals, gay people, and transsexuals as the bad people, and they truly would kick you out of the group if you were found to be that, even though almost everybody there was. The person with me here is Naomi Owen. Naomi was president of Chi Chapter for 9 years. 9 years, did a lot of really good things for the group and a lot of bad things for the group. The point of these people I'm showing you, they were all very autocratic. If you joined the group, you had to do everything they said, go by their rules, and there were no written rules. You had to do everything the way they said, or they would kick you out. So I want to mention that's the way the groups were. When we formed,
You never made it in that group.
well, a lot of people didn't. A lot of people, and again, think about how this is your support group, and if you did something that went against what they wanted, they would kick you out. So you had no support group, and you had nowhere to go. That's how they were at the time. Oh yeah, I like this. Okay, so this person in the strike, that's Sharon Hart, who was the president of the Windy City chapter of Gateway Gender Alliance. There were two national organizations. There was National Trias and there was a Gateway Gender Alliance. They were both based in California. She was head of the chapter. When I joined Chi Chapter, first thing they said to me, was do not go to the Gateway Gender Alliance because they're all transsexuals. They're all bad, don't go there. And so, if I go there, they say, don't go to Chi Chapter because they're all transvestites, they're bad. So the two groups hated each other. And people would say you will never find a time when the two groups will ever do anything together. That's how bad it was at the time. So we've made it's taken us 40 years, but we've made a lot of progress. But Sharon Hart, she rarely was dressed as a female. She mostly dressed as a man. So sometimes you may hear me refer to her as a man because I spent most of the time with her name was Ron. And Ron is the reason why CGS exists, because of some of the bad things she did. Okay, but this is going back in the history. How did the United States learn about trans people? You still can't hear me? Can't hear me?
You turn to the screen, you can't hear me.
Okay. Does anyone know? Anyone know? I can't think of her name. What's her name?
Christine Jorgensen.
Christine Jorgensen. Does everyone know about her?
Yeah,
She was the
what's
first widely
date on
known.
this? What's the date on this newspaper?
I don't remember.
You can't read it, it's covered
It's
up.
in the 50s, though. It's in the 50s.
Yeah.
And do you know she had surgery? Do you know she did not have complete surgery? They took some things off, but they weren't advanced enough to change things. So she never had full surgery. I can try the microphone again. This is her coming out and what a big fuss they made over her because she was the first really well-known transsexual.
She was a performer too.
Yes. And this is her.
Oh, yeah.
She was pretty. She came to one of our events. There was something called the International Foundation for Gender Education. They had conventions as well. She came to one of our conventions and that was her there when she was older. Virginia Prince, who I talked about earlier, she considered herself a heterosexual crossdresser who later lived full time. But she went through a lot of changes. So this is her before she did what she did. But the point is, she would send she had her own newsletter. She would send it through the mails. If you did anything that was homosexual related or transsexual related or transgender, that was considered pornography. And she was prosecuted for that and found guilty. And she was put on probation. So the only way she was allowed to dress as a female was if she was doing something related to work. So she started going on television shows. There was something called the David Susskind show. She used to go on those shows. And because that was the only way she could dress as a female, that's how the word got out to other people who were trans. So a bad thing for her turned out for a good thing for us. And she's the one who I was saying, we're all here because of her. She formed the first group. It was called the Hose and Heels Club. And not only those kind of hose, hose that you wear, and Heels Club.
Not your kind of hole.
not those hoes.
Okay.
But Hose and Heels Club, because they were so afraid that the FBI was investigating them that you had to wear some kind of feminine garb, so that if you were from the FBI, you'd be prosecuted as well. So it's called the Hose and Heels Club before it became CGS. Virginia Prince had one of the events. Virginia Prince was very outspoken, knew a lot. She wrote a lot of books about this, but she was a hypocrite. So when she would talk at these meetings, sometimes the people considered themselves transsexual would want to physically attack her, because she would just talk about how they weren't legitimate, and she was, even though she lived as a trans person. Anyway, that's her. This is Naomi and some other people. This was one of the be-alls in Cleveland before it was taken over by Olivia and others.
CGS.
Well, it wasn't really CGS. CGS was involved, but it wasn't really a CGS event, right?
It was a combination of that.
Yes. So this is Gateway Gender Alliance. We used to get this card when you joined them, and on the back it was so, because it was against the law a lot of places to dress, and so they would give you this card that talked about the bearer of this card is da 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 da, and at the bottom you see Georgia Saunders, executive secretary. She was a head of GGA, Gateway Gender Alliance, and they had chapters all around the country, just like Trias had chapters all around the country. One of the things that happened back then is, because they were so autocratic, often one person would run everything, and they'd always burn out. She got burned out, and so she stopped doing it, and that's how GGA came to an end, because she got tired. So just to tell you, one of the rules I made for myself was never to do so much that I'd get burned out. So I learned the art of no. People say, will you do this? No. No, if you want to do that, you do it. An example of that, we talked about someone named Carol Rogers. Do people know who Carol Rogers is?
Pass the monkey to somebody else's shoulders.
Carol Rogers used to complain about one of the meeting places we had. It was too hot all the time. Opposite of here. It was too hot all the time. So we need to have another place. So I said, well, Carol, why don't you find us another place? Which she did. So I just learned if people complain a lot about things, give them the job.
What did she find?
She found it's a place near where they were. It was the Holiday Inn Express. It's near where the DoubleTree is. From there we went to the DoubleTree. Okay, so I show this spring fling because the first national convention we had in Chicago was GGA. Back in the time when someone said you could never do it in Chicago. So the reason I'm showing that is we were very forward thinking. And this is Sharon Hart, was very forward thinking at that time. Problem with Sharon Hart is she cheated everybody. We'll talk about that. But this is our spring fling. I was a DJ in that. So I'm just showing that this is 1986. Just showing how long ago. I'm sorry?
Nice hair.
Yeah, let it grow out. Let it grow out. This is still a GGA event, but some of the people here, the person in the tie here, that's David Maxwell, who was CGS's first president. And David Maxwell was a trans man. And I thought that was such a wonderful thing because look how few trans men we have involved in our culture. But he was our first president. Next to David is Karen Baumgartner, who was one of our presidents. She's started the newsletter. She's the one that named it the Primrose. And I'm going to tell you why in a little while. The person whose back is to you with the brown, that is Sharon Hart, who normally presented as a male named Ron. This is a pageant we had. The reason I show this is because we were shown in the newspaper, gay newspaper, for a pageant. At this pageant, Naomi came to the pageant, and Sharon had Naomi thrown out because they hated each other. That's part of why the groups hated each other, because the two leaders hated each other. And I can tell you in private why that was. She got thrown out. This is Gateway Gender Alliance, Windy City chapter, at our first Pride Parade.
What is that, hearse?
We didn't have, for GGA, we didn't have a real treasury. So people would just collect money, donate. So we had to use somebody's car. We had to use somebody's car, but we were in the parade.
I get it.
This is just example, this is the kind of newsletter we had. This is kind of before computers.
You okay? She bumped her head off the table.
You're good, DK? Anyway, this is the kind of newsletter we had then because we didn't have computers and that kind of stuff. We just threw stuff together. When George Saunders quit as head of GGA, there was no national organization. And now let me talk about the differences between the organizations. Chi chapter and Trias, of course, was only for one strict type of person, allegedly. GGA was for everyone. They didn't give you any kind of test. Whatever you considered yourself to be, you were welcome there. So when GGA went away, we worried, well, what kind of organization can we have? So Sharon talked to me about joining with her, and we were going to have a national organization in Chicago called the National Gender Alliance. And so she and I worked together to try to start a national organization here. She told me that all the other chapters that were part of GGA would join us. They did not. When I found out they did not, I resigned. And this is something, I used to have my own national newsletter. I'll tell you what, and I hate that it was called the Cross Justice Bureau. At the time, I called it that because I considered cross justice could be an umbrella term like we use transgender. The reason why I had that newsletter was I would publish it and I would take it to Chi chapter, and there I could talk about what happened at GGA. I could take it to GGA and talk about what happened at Chi chapter because they would never talk to each other. So I had a newsletter, and because I was already doing a newsletter, Sharon asked me to be the newsletter editor for NGA. Yeah, this was our first copy. But I resigned because of some things that were going on with Sharon. I can talk about that later on if you like. So some of us decided to get together and challenge some of the things Sharon was doing. And one of the things she did was she fired a vice president because she didn't like the vice president and installed another person. I reminded her that we had to elect people. And Sharon said to me, tell me where you've heard this before. If I were to have an election that I was gonna lose, I wouldn't have an election. You may hear somebody say that on Thursday. But so she said that to me, so I wanted to give her the opportunity to say that in public. And so we gathered a bunch of people, and we called ourselves Coalition for Democratic Change in the group. And this is a decision tree we had, depending on how Sharon reacted. Would we continue this or continue that? And we assumed she might leave, which she ended up doing. But luckily we were prepared for that. And when she did leave, she took our treasury and she took our roster. But we had already formed excuse the expression, transition committee to form a new group. And in that new group, we said that we would have rules because we never had any written down rules. So we said we would have rules that would stop someone from dictating what the members would do. And that's kind of that was the spirit of what how CGS was formed. Excuse me, I have an earring problem.
Take your time.
Okay, so, I'm trying to think of this. Oh, this is where Sharon learned of what we were doing. And she wrote to the members, because she still had the roster. She wrote to them saying, don't follow these people because they don't know what they're doing. Don't let them lead you down the primrose path. And so Karen, Karen Baumler, who became the newsletter editor, she named the newsletter Primrose. The Primrose logo that we've always used came from a person who was a Chi chapter member. When she came out as transsexual, her family disowned her, she lost her job, and the organization kicked her out. Chi chapter kicked her out. So she came over to CGS and she made our logo. Can't remember what this is, but I'm gonna move along. This is just something that I sent. Sharon, when all this happened, Sharon threatened to have me arrested and threatened to out me And so I sent her a very nasty letter telling her I'd have her killed if she did.
You're gonna have her killed?
Not killed, but whatever. I let her know that if she did something to me, I'd come back after.
I wish I'd known you at the time.
But the point of that is, that's how dangerous things were at that time. If I had been outed, I'd lose my job. Something I didn't mention earlier, my wife is here. You all know Deborah. Deborah's been with me for 52 years. 52 years. Stood with me through everything and all of that. And had I been outed, she already knew of me, so I didn't have to worry about my family, but I had to worry about my employment, everything else. And so that was the threat she gave against me. Or had I been arrested, I'd be arrested and, for that. And so I had to threaten her. So anyway, when we formed CGS, and again, it's important to say, we formed CGS with bylaws, constitution, we had written down rules. And the rules said the board was there to service the members, not the opposite. I used to say that often the people who were in charge of the trans groups had the queen's disease, that they thought they were the queen and we were their subjects. That kind of relates to nowadays too. But well, we said the reason why the group exists are the people who pay the dues, and the board is there to service us, not the reverse. And that, I just want you to know, that's what the whole idea of CGS
It's a
was.
democratic way.
Democratic way. And it worked. Olivia knows because she was there around as things went. So it became a really strong group. Really strong group. These were our first officers. This is David Maxwell. I don't know if you still have it. There's a David Maxwell Award that's given.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't give it out.
They don't give it out, but that was based on David. And we can talk about David sometime privately. And these were some of the other people. Diane here, Olivia knows, she was our treasurer for
20,
ever.
30 years.
Ever.
Who knows?
Back when we didn't have computers, she had to do it by hand.
She was the best.
She was wonderful. Yeah, we had some wonderful people. This is some knucklehead in the middle and some other officers later. We used to be kind of bawdy. We'd have these investigations. This is kind of who we were. We were like the naughty group, because Trias was trying to be, well, we're normal, we're this and we're that. And CGS were like, hey, we don't care. We don't.
It's true.
Yeah. When I was back then, I traveled for my work, and I had the opportunity to travel and meet a lot of other trans groups. I used that as an opportunity to kind of learn the trans groups who were doing well, what did they do? The ones who failed, what did they do wrong? And so I tried to incorporate a lot of the good things about those groups and the bad. One of the things was not smoking. You see, you could smoke back then, but that before, because you had these autocratic leaders, they didn't allow any of the officers to do anything. So what we installed was, if you were an officer of the group, you had responsibilities. Every month, you had to get up and give a report. If you're a treasurer, you give a treasurer report. If you're secretary, you give a secretary's report. And the reason for that was, one, to let the membership know what was going on. Two, to give people the opportunity to learn how to speak in front of other people. Because not everybody can do it. So if they're going to, let's say, go to the chairs, by the time you want to be president, you have experience speaking in front of people. That was what that rule was for. This is Stephanie Young. The reason I show her is, when I talk about how people can change things, I met her at Charlie's Angels too. Charlie's Angels is the bar we used to always go to. That's where I met Olivia. But I met her at Charlie's Angels, and she became part of the group. Was not an officer. One of the things we did is we said we should have committees. Committees are how you groom people to become an officer. So she came to me and she said she wanted to do something, and I said, well, I'd like us to have an advertising committee, someone where we could get advertisers pay for our newsletter. And she said, well, I can do that. And I said, well, I don't know how much money you'll get. She said, I think I can get a lot of money. I said, I don't think you can. She said, oh, yes, I can. And our first advertiser, it's not a good picture, but that's Kelly, Kelly Electrolysis. And I'm remembering this she may have paid $700 a month for an ad. And with her, a bunch of other people. So this person I just met at Charlie's Angels ended up becoming our advertising committee chair, brought us a lot of money, and she later on became president. I mention that to say that you never know who out here can be someone important in the group and help other people. Including Kelly. Kelly has always been such an ally of ours. Who might this be? Who might this be? Of course, I met Olivia at Charlie's Angels as well. And Olivia, Olivia, you can see, was nervous and all that stuff in the beginning too. Olivia ended up taking over with other people, taking over the Be All You Want to Be. And people who are new don't know about it, but it was a major, major event in Chicago. The largest thing that we ever had on a regular basis. And if you weren't here, it's too bad you didn't get to see it because it was wonderful.
30 years.
We should bring it back.
30 years.
30 years what?
Be all.
30 years what?
She said, I don't know.
No,
But anyway,
we
a lot of years.
We did it for 12 years.
We did it for 12 years, but it
There's
was on
more.
prior.
There's more that I don't have time to talk about everything because we used to have a picnic in the summertime with Julie Johnson.
Ooh.
Do you know about that? Garden party. Julie Johnson was rich, and
She wasn't average.
hmm?
She wasn't average.
She was rich enough to host the
She was
party.
rich enough. She was richer than anybody I knew.
Riches of.
Okay.
Relative.
She was rich in personality. So
And generous.
CGS was also, yes, she was. CGS was also involved in the Pride Parade very early on. So I just want to mention, in the beginning, the Pride Parade was mostly for gay people. And they didn't really accept us because the televisions would always show us as the comedy, you know what I mean? So they didn't always want to be associated with us. So this was our goal to include ourselves in that. So early on we did that. And we had, we were colorful.
Colorful?
We were
To say the
colorful.
least.
And here,
Oh, God.
when again talking about how a person can change things, there's a person named Mary Ann Foster.
Yes.
And remember Blanche, Blanche.
Pat.
Mary Ann, huh?
Pat.
Not Pat.
Yeah, Foster. Mary
It's
Ann,
not-
now it's Pat.
Yeah.
That's Pat.
But her name, her female is Mary Ann Foster.
Yeah.
I was talking to her because other groups were having national conventions. I said, what could we do for CGS to have something? She said, well, I have a place up in Saugatuck, right? And we could have a semi convention there. Go up to Saugatuck. We would rent these cabins and everything, and it was a wonderful thing. This is a group of ne'er-do-wells. Olivia, nice hair.
Nice legs.
Yeah, and this is Mary Ann Foster who had us do that. That's myself. And this is Jackie Perry.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
And
Really?
Bernice.
Bernie.
Yeah, I forgot her name. But
What?
anyway,
She was lovely.
An interesting thing there was we had lunch at this restaurant.
Oh, yes.
What happened?
Threw us
The
out.
owner threw us
They
out.
threw us out.
I'm going to tell
Threw
you.
us out in Saugatuck, which is a gay-friendly.
They threw us.
Wasn't there?
He said,
What
did she
I
do?
don't want my children to have anything to do with you people
Yes.
because you're going to destroy my children's lives. I remember this guy
I do.
completely.
He had panties on.
And, and they took a picture
He
of
might
us
be here tonight.
There's Bernie and
Oh.
I
who's,
remember everybody.
is,
Well, it
I
was
can't
Mary
tell
Ann.
who everybody is.
But
I'm gonna,
yes, he threw us
just,
out.
just for a moment, I'm gonna tell you one thing. We were staying at the Douglas Dunes Resort that weekend. And we had all these cabins and things like she said. That night, we had a bar party at the,
At the Dunes.
at the dunes, and people came up to us and told us that they were so disturbed about what this man did to us that they left the restaurant and they were totally behind us. And it was like out of the blue, because of this man, all these people came up to say, we love you.
They didn't stop us from getting thrown out.
Well,
They
you
didn't
got
love us that much.
What?
They just got
They didn't
their
stop us from
burgers.
being thrown out.
We got-
Have
we
you
got-
all been to Saugatuck? Has everyone been to Saugatuck? You should go. It's really a wonderful
great town.
place. And Douglas
It's a great
Dillons it's been a long-term gay,
It's a gay resort, but,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
I
still
haven't been
there.
here in years.
yeah, it's still there and it's worth, if you get a chance to go to Saugatuck, and Douglas will do it. we vowed we'd never get thrown out again. We never got thrown out again. But
No, we
get
did
thrown
not.
out. We got thrown out. This just said we started. We had our own pageants. GGS had pageants. We had our own CGS pageant. I mentioned that that's something probably is worth doing. Think about doing. This may be our last slide. This is. I said this was a be all, but I'm not sure it is.
No, I think it was in Christmas.
And it could be Holiday and Fest. National Trash had an event called the Holiday and Fest. And just show you the number of people who used to come to these things. And then too, I have some memorabilia on the table. And if people haven't seen this,
That's a lot of people.
this is the number of people who used to come to these things.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they were a lot of folk.
That's cool.
So I think this could be the last slide.
Yes.
Okay, so, thank you. Well, here's what I want to leave you with. Because I think, again, I've been out a long time. Seen a lot of things, seen a lot of people. But I think what I see is the groups are doing something they said they never do. Whether it be merging, just doing things together. I used to always say, if we're separated, we can only do so much, especially when we fight each other. But if we band together, however we do that, we're stronger for it. So I'm excited about the idea that you have now. I think we are being attacked by let's say we're just being attacked. And if we're not careful, a lot of bad things are going to happen to us. So I think it's an important time to have fun, nothing wrong with having fun, but also recognize that we are threatened. And when they talk about going after transgender children and don't think they're not going to get around to us. Don't think they're not going to, because they are. And we need to do things so that we're prepared so we don't get hurt. Final thing I'm going to say is,
I'm not gonna stop.
okay, I really think, look for opportunities to help out. I'm supposed to be at a chorus rehearsal tonight, but I thought singing for rehearsal is not as important as coming here and being around people like myself. You never know what you might do, because I'm sure this is true of me, and I'm sure it's true of Olivia. People have come to us and said, "You saved my life. I wouldn't be alive today if it weren't for you. You can change someone's life. You can change the world." And when you think it's just going to be all this work, it's some of the most rewarding things you'll ever do. Some of the most rewarding things you'll ever do. So, given the opportunity, take it. And I'll say the people who are the leaders, remember that you're the servants of the people who elected you. And treat people who want to help, treat them well, reward them, give them awards. We used to do a thing where every month we had a member of the month club, and I would go to Jewel and buy $2 flowers and give it to them. Because you bring them up front and make a big deal. It makes them want to be involved more. So reward people who want to help, because it strengthens the group. So that's all I have to say.
I think that there are some memorabilia
There's all kinds
that
of
you'd like to
there's
share with
old
people.
newsletters and old things if you want to see what